2 weeks before the presidential election, suspected rebels killed 14 people in central Peru. 2 children were among the victims of the massacre in a bar in the village of San Miguel del Ene in a drug-growing unrest region, said the South American country's Ministry of Defense. The bodies of the miners were cremated. According to the military, the guerrilla organization Sendero Luminoso, the Shining Path, was behind the attack. In a letter of confession left at the scene of the crime, the perpetrators called for the right-wing populist Keiko Fujimori not to vote in the presidential election on June 6th. I regret that bloody acts of violence are taking place again in our country. The terrorist groups want to paralyze us and sow fear. We will not allow that, said presidential candidate Fujimori. I offer my condolences to the families of the victims and support the police and the armed forces. We have to defend our fatherland and to vote on June 6th, he said. In the runoff election in 2 weeks, the South American country will face an exchange of blows between the political extremes. The daughter of the authoritarian ex-president Alberto Fujimori will take on the socialist Pedro Castillo. The former teacher of the Marxist-Leninist party Per Libre wants to build a socialist state in the event of an election victory, control the media more, and abolish the constitutional court. During the election campaign, Fujimori campaigned for a political system that combines democratic models with hard-handed politics. Her father, Alberto Fujimori, is serving a 25-year prison sentence for serious human rights violations. During his tenure from 1990 to 2000, Fujimori let his security forces take rigorous action against left-wing and allegedly subversive forces in the fight against the Shining Path, and parliament was ousted. In addition, tens of thousands of indigenous women were forced to be sterilized. In the event of an election victory, Keiko Fujimori wants to pardon her father. Interim President Francisco Sagasti condemned the bloody act. I ordered the armed forces and the police to be deployed in the region. This act of terrorism must not go unpunished, wrote the head of state on Twitter. On behalf of the transitional government, I extend my condolences to the families of the victims, he wrote. The deed took place in the valleys of the Apurimac, Ene and Mantaro rivers. The Shining Path is very active in the region, but state institutions are only weakly represented. The area is an important growing area for the coca plant. Besides Colombia and Bolivia, Peru is the largest cocaine producer in the world. Between 1980 and 2000, almost 70,000 people were killed in clashes between the Sendero Luminoso and state security forces. In contrast to many other civil wars in the region, the guerrillas were responsible for a large part of the deaths in Peru. Today, the remaining units of the Shining Path are mainly devoted to drug trafficking. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.